I don't know how often Easter falls in the same week as April Fool's Day, but anybody have an April Fool's Day prank played on you? We had 1, 2, 3, okay. Where there's kids, yes. Judy, I said where there's kids, yes. Usually where there's kids. You know, Tuesday night I got a phone call, and I guess that was, Tuesday night. 7:45, Kevin's not in here. He's at the other worship service. But, you know, Kevin's crazy anyway. You know, we have him on staff just to make the rest of us look good. But it's 7:45 at night, and he says, Brother Bill, you've got a couple here that want to get married. And I said, what? I don't do just people walking off the street getting married. He said, no, you've talked to these people. I said, well, they've got to go through counseling. He said, they've been through counseling. I said, why would they be there tonight? And so I figured, okay, so he's getting a practice in on the thing. So then he calls me back and he says, seriously, this couple wants to get married and they're waiting right now. So I look down. I've been working around the house. I have on a pair of soccer shorts. They're red. I have on an orange shirt and flip-flops. And he said, just come as you are. Now, you decide whether or not I came as I was. But I got here and we had a great wedding. But when you see Sue used to be King and David Humble, you know, you say a word to them about getting the preacher out late at night and having one of those weird kinds of weddings. But it was really great. It was exciting, a little strange, but, a wonderful time. Easter and April's Fool, they do go together, don't they? Because people are always pulling jokes on us at April Fool's Day. They say things like, so-and-so and so-and-so, April's Fool, and then, you feel bad. I imagine that there are people in the world who think that this religion stuff is nothing but a big April Fool's joke. And maybe they might argue that the reason I know it's not real is because if Jeff or Joe or Jim really believed it, then their lives would be lived differently. That morning, the first Easter, a group of ladies that Jesus had discipled for several years walked through the darkness to the tomb. They found the tomb was empty. And they realized that one of two things had happened. Someone had stolen the body, or what he told them was real. Now, they weren't educated women, but they had to make a decision. So they went with the choice, he has risen. And they left the empty tomb telling everybody, he's risen, he's risen. Now, to believe that Jesus Christ arose from the dead defies every law of logic, science, reality. People don't just rise from the dead. And yet, how many millions of people believe that he did exactly that? I mean, my whole life has been lived on the foundation that Jesus Christ arose from the dead. If it's not true, then my whole life is a waste. But if it is true, and we embrace this as the truth. In spite of the odds, the Christian church says he is risen. He is risen indeed. Now, we have embraced this illogical truth for 2,000 years. And so since we have embraced it, I don't really want to talk about the resurrection, even though it's Easter Sunday. I want to talk about something else. How is it that we could believe something as far out as the resurrection and yet doubt the legitimacy of a claim that the resurrected one made himself? It doesn't make sense to me. If you're going to believe in the resurrection, you have to believe in the message that he delivered. And Jesus said this, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except by me. Now, what's amazing to me is that people believe that Jesus came out of the tomb, but they question whether or not he is the only way. This month, we're going to be studying the book of Acts, so I hope that you, if you're not involved in a church elsewhere, I hope that you will plan on joining us each Sunday morning as we look at the growth of the church from the empty tomb to embrace the lives of thousands and hundreds of people, and to see during that infancy of the church, the struggles, the trials, the battles they fought. And one of the battles was whether or not this Jesus was the only way to heaven. And after 2,000 years, we're still fighting the same battle. I was floored to read the other day that 52% of American Christians believe that there are other ways to heaven. Now, that sounds perfectly logical if you want to say, well, you know, people just, there's got to be some other ways because not everybody knows Jesus. But that certainly doesn't make any sense why there's a cross. If there's another way, I mean, Jesus need not have died. And you know, we evangelical Christians, we always pride ourselves for being very conservative and staying way over there in the deep theology. 26% of us, that includes Southern Baptists, 26% of us believe that there's a way for atheists to go to heaven. Friends, atheists don't even believe in heaven. So they don't believe there's a way for them to get there. And yet we evangelical Christians are so kind-hearted or so stupid that we say, oh, there's a way. 26%, that's 1 out of 4. That means 500 people going to Ridgedale believe that a person who denies the existence of God can still go to heaven. The resurrection of Jesus Christ is a disturbing fact of life, to say the least. Let's go back to our scripture reading, the book of Acts, chapter 4, starting with verse 1. The priest and the captain of the temple guard and the Sadducees came up to Peter and John while they were speaking to the people. They were greatly disturbed because the apostles were teaching the people and proclaiming in Jesus the resurrection of the dead. They seized Peter and John, and because it was evening, they put them in jail until the next day. But many who heard the message believed, and the number of men grew to about 5,000. Now, the wording of the scripture is very important because what the scripture says is that many believed. What that means is most did not believe. And the reason that most people did not then and do not now believe in the resurrection is because it's not a neutral position. You can't just drop the statement that I believe in the resurrection and then live your life as if nothing happened. You can't just say he is alive and then deny him by the way you live. The resurrection is the dividing line of history. And if you go back to the crucifixion scene, even the mercenary Roman soldiers understood the significance of that event. They were assigned to guard the tomb. And when they find that the tomb is empty, they know that no one has removed the stone. No one has taken the body. So the scripture says, on the morning that Jesus arose from the dead, those that were assigned to guard his tomb went into the city, reported to the chief priest everything that had happened. When the chief priest had met with the elders and devised a plan, they gave the soldiers a large sum of money, telling them, "You are to say, the disciples came during the night and stole him away while we were asleep."